everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Tata Wekesa, a teacher of science from Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to this YouTube channel. Welcome to my space. I'm so happy to have you today. Now, when I came up with this YouTube channel, I just thought I needed to air the Guinness World Record attempt live. But then I realized after that I need to actually create content to celebrate educators and to just discuss on what we can do to influence education and to make things better in our country in terms of science education. Now, today, I'm here alone. Being the first episode, really, I just want to relive the journey that it took me to attempt the Guinness World Record for the longest science lesson. Now, as we are doing this recording, I haven't got the ratification yet. I am still waiting, but probably by the time you're watching, we'll have our results. Either way, we are still going to make impact in science education. Karibu sana. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friend. Karibu sana to Tata Wekesa. We want to make an impact in science. Now, I've been raised up by a teacher, Mr. Joseph Gitau, and I saw how passionate my father was, and I could hear how people were speaking about him in the village, about the kind of teacher he was. And as I was growing up, the staff room became my second home. From kindergarten up to when my dad retired, I would leave class and go to the staff room. So I got to interact with so many teachers. I got to interact with his friends. Now, our visitors at home were all teachers. So I've basically grown up surrounded by teachers. Now, my father did not show me like there's another option, really. It was either you read or read. And there's this one time when I was in class 5 and we were at home for holiday, and he would leave me with so many psalms to do. And he would come in the evening, and sometimes sijamaliza, like I've not finished others, and he would chapa me. He would discipline me. So he actually showed me that education is the key. Now, nowadays, I know with this new generation, education doesn't really seem to be the key, and that is why I am here. I am here to emphasize, niko hapa kusisitiza, that education is still the key. So I really thank my father for planting the seed, for creating the interest for education, for showing me that education is very important. So I continued, and I went to high school, of course, now being a teenager. And I started getting the feelings of teenagehood, and of course I was not taking my education so seriously, and that really led to my grades going down. Along the line, my father sat me down and told me, if you do not make it to the university, I will not use my money to pay for you the self-sponsored degrees. So it's either you work hard to get a good grade to go to the university. So I have been made really by my father. He has really mentored me. I saw him raising us with the income of a teacher. And so I knew if I become a teacher, definitely I will make it. So I continued on, went to Kenyatta University to do education science, where I chose biology and chemistry as the subjects to teach, as my teaching subjects. So my journey started. There's of course, the thought of feeling like you have chosen the wrong course along the line. So at one point, I wanted to quit school. And I actually went to the careers office to ask them what the process of quitting school is. And I met one also very passionate educator, Mr. Kenneth Kiambuthi. And he told me, he convinced me to finish my first degree. And I continued. I was under the mentorship and under the close watch of my pastor, Pastor Jimmy Masharia and Pastor Mercy Masharia. They housed me, and they kept on following up on my progress in education. Fast forward, I finished university, and I was now ready for the market. And that is where now the juice of the story starts. So I got a job my first job, a very young girl. Now, do you know how I got my first job? I volunteered. So the young people out there, volunteering is actually a key to open doors. I'm here not just to tell you my story, but I'm also mentoring you and showing you how the journey has been and some of the tactics and the tricks that I applied to get to where I am by the grace of God and by the help of God. So I finished fourth year, now left Kenyatta University with a Bachelor's of Education, Science, Biology and Chemistry. And I was still living with my pastor, and he was still mentoring me and fathering me. So he told me, you can't stay in the house. You need to volunteer. I'll be giving you fare. And that's how I ended up in one international school here in Nairobi. And I started my, internship, or rather the opportunity to volunteer came, and I gave it my best by the grace of God. If you saw how I was teaching those children, you would not imagine that I was doing it for free. So with time, of course, there was word went round, of course, even to parents, that there's this new, very young teacher, very passionate teacher. And fast forward, I eventually got a job in the same institution. So the school I'm mentioning here is St. Christopher's International School, Nairobi. So that's where I started my career journey. I got married in 2013 while I was still a teacher there. I got my first baby, Victoria, when I was still in St. Christopher's. Now, I took a career break between 2016 and 2019. But even when I was in the house for those 3 years raising the children, now I had Victoria and Vanessa, I was still feeling a bit uncomfortable that I am not in a classroom. At that time, also, I managed to finish my master's degree. And I tried lecturing, but I just felt I really, really needed to be in a classroom. And by God's grace, got another opportunity in St. Austin's in 2019. Now, I have been in St. Austin's Academy, Lavington, from 2019 to date. Now, why am I giving you this background? Because I want to tell you what happened that I decided to actually attempt a Guinness World Record. Now, when you know that you have greatness in you, you cannot be comfortable with just the ordinary. So I felt I needed to make impact in science, being a science teacher, being a scientist, and even being a parent, being a woman in Africa. I felt that I needed to make more impact beyond the four walls of a classroom. So one time while scrolling TikTok, I'll be as honest as possible, I actually got to learn about Hilda Bassi, who was doing the longest cooking hours, the cookathon. I saw it on TikTok and it actually caught my attention. And I decided, wait a minute. So Guinness World Records are not just for people with funny traits. I mean, I used to think that it's just for people with the longest nails, the longest hair, the widest smile, until I saw her doing it and I realized, so I can actually set a record, or rather break somebody's record for the longest science lesson. So after she finished, I saw the kind of impact that her attempt had on her area, which is she's a chef, so I saw the impact that it had on in her area. And I remember even posting on Instagram and congratulating her, as much as I did not know her. I mean, the whole thing just attracted me and I felt probably I can do it. Now, I remember when I posted on Instagram celebrating her, I put a caption down there and I said, can we try and do the longest biology chemistry lesson? And just a few people commented there and said, why not, why not? And one day on 13th June 2023, I was seated on my desk at work and I said, wait a minute, can I just try to apply for this thing? What's the worst that will happen anyway? So I sat down, I went to their website and I searched for the longest biology chemistry lesson. There was no such record that existed. So I applied. So on 13th June 2023 is when I first interacted with the Guinness World Record website and I applied and waited. Now, ideally, you are supposed to wait for 12 weeks. unless you pay like I think $1,000 for your submission to be reviewed within 5 working days. I was not willing really to pay that at that time, because it was something I was doing just to see whether it will work, because I knew if this works, then I'm going to have a platform, a worldwide platform, to just talk about science education and to make the kind of impact that I want to see. Because all I just want to see people loving science more, people embracing the fact that science is life and life is science. Everything around us and in us is based on science. So that is why I felt this area is very important, and I need to shout out on the rooftops about the importance of science. So I applied, and I must say that I was quite anxious for some days, just waiting for the acceptance. So I was to wait for 12 weeks. I kept on waiting for their email. I kept on checking, and my application was just reading pending, pending, pending. Until sometime in September, when I got an email, I remember I was in traffic somewhere along Uhuru Highway, and I had a notification, and I opened, and I found it was an email from Guinness World Record. Oh my. When I opened, my heart was shattered. Really shattered, because it was a rejection for my application. Wow, I felt so bad. I remember I was in the car, nikasikia tu joto imepanda tu imekuja hivi. And I had told a few people, because when I applied, I went home and shared with my husband, and I told him, guess what? I've applied for a Guinness World Record for the longest science lesson. Akaniuliza, how does that work? So I explained to him, and after explaining to him, he got so excited. So I was wondering now, how do I start calling him again to tell him that I've gotten a rejection? Where? So first of all, I kept quiet with the news. That day passed, but I was feeling so bad. Can you imagine applying for something in June and waiting for 12 weeks and then you get a rejection? I honestly felt bad. Probably I should learn how to handle rejection better. Maybe. I don't know. So I had also shared with my friend Elizabeth, who ended up being the chair lady. Elizabeth Maura. She ended up being the chair lady for the planning committee for the event. Anyway. So after a few days now, I had to say that, you guys, I received a rejection. So how I broke the news to them about the rejection was I just screenshot the email from Guinness World Record, and I forwarded to them. And I told them, this is the feedback they have given me. I don't understand why. I don't know how to respond to them, but this is it. They have sent me a rejection. So for around, I think a week, I was okay. I mean, I was trying to accept the defeat, until one time again, as I was seated, I said, I think I need to give these guys a piece of my mind. So I responded to their email, and I told them that I do not think that their reasons for rejecting my application were valid. Now, they had given me several reasons for rejecting my application. The first reason, they were saying that the area does not have much competition. But according to me, I feel like there's a lot of competition in science education. We have so many science teachers around the world. So I felt by getting this chance to set a record for the longest science lesson, I would open a platform for as many science teachers as possible to come and show us their skills, show us their methods. And by breaking my record, we continue preaching and communicating more about science. So for that reason, I told them I feel like the area has a lot of competition. The other reason that they said is that I needed to do a record that can be broken, that is breakable, and that can be challenged by someone else. And to that, I responded by telling them that somebody can actually come and break the record, because if I teach for X number of hours, someone else can come and teach for X plus 1 or X plus any number. So I told them, you sent me a rejection, but I still feel that I should be given an opportunity to set a record for the longest biology chemistry lesson. So at that time, I thought I should just set a record for the areas that I have been trained in, and that's why I had called my record the longest science lesson, the longest biology chemistry lesson. So anyway, I sent them the correspondence, and I was like, the worst has already happened. They have already sent me a rejection. So there's nothing worse that I was waiting for really after that rejection. And one evening on October 31st, I was seated with a student doing a private lesson, and an email came. Hey. It was an email from Guinness World Record again. And I wondered, what are these people saying? Only for me to open the email, and it was an acceptance. My God, I mean, I was so elated. Like, I just said, you mean if you fight for something, you can actually get it? I was so elated. So they sent me guidelines on how I would set the record. And they also advised that I don't call the record the longest biology chemistry lesson, but I should call it the longest science lesson. So that is how the longest science lesson came to be. Of course, after that email, my life really changed, because one of the clauses in the agreement indicated that as soon as you get the acceptance, you're supposed to announce to everyone that you have the acceptance and that you're intending to set the record. So there I was. I am not a celebrity. I think at the time I was getting the acceptance, I don't think I even had 1,000 followers on Instagram. Not that I have so many now. So if you are watching and you have not followed me on Instagram, please go and follow me so that, we can get to know more of what I am doing. Anyway, I announced on my very small platform at that time. I don't think I even had a YouTube channel then, and the journey of planning for this started. Now, I didn't know what to do with this news for like 2 weeks, because the whole thing was actually quite big. I looked at the rules that they had sent. I looked at the evidence, expectations, and I was like, this thing is just big. So I approached a few friends, and we met one morning on a Saturday to plan. So that was now my committee. So after we sat with the committee for the first time, we drew a budget which came to over 3 million. Wow. And we were just there. We do not have these resources, but the event has to be done. We are seeing the fruits of, we are seeing that this tree that we planted, now it has grown, and we want to see the fruits, but we don't have the resources to do the event. So we drew up the budget, and I went and typed the budget, and I was just looking at it, and I was saying, if God does not come through and provide, then I don't know what we are going to do. So the journey now of starting to look for funds and resources for the longest science lesson began. Let me tell you, I wrote so many emails. I wrote proposals, I sent emails, I made phone calls, I did face-to-face meetings, and it was quite an uphill task. Now, I want to talk about the lessons I learned when I was mobilizing funds for this event. Now, there are people out there who are actually willing to fund and finance for projects that make sense. The only thing you need to do is to make the project to make sense to someone. Because if you come to me and I have the money, and you cannot show me how that project will benefit, first of all, how it will benefit me as a brand, and also how it will benefit, the society at large, then it will be very difficult for me to give you my resources. So the idea here was to just show the people I was approaching how this thing is going to make an impact.
Welcome to Heaven Trinity Motors, your premier destination for quality cars and exceptional service.
Yeah, so I eventually got some sponsors. And let me tell you, I remember our pastor telling us that what you need is within a radius of 100 meters. And when I look back, really, the people and the companies that supported me were people and owners of companies that were so close to me. Now, one of the biggest items in that budget was the media. And at this point, I really want to appreciate Kevin Wambua of GTech Audiovisual, because when he met me for the first time, he had come with quite a big budget. And I looked at him and I told him, Kevin, I don't have money. Can you slice this budget by this amount? And, he looked at me like, how unrealistic can you be? And I'm so happy that we eventually agreed. And he's the one who aired the whole attempt for the Guinness World Record. And he's even the one covering this right now. So I really appreciate Kevin of GTech Audiovisual. I say that he's my sponsor because he gives me very amazing deals. His work is amazing, and he's very, very supportive. It's not just business. He's very, very supportive, and he's a human of faith. So I really appreciate Kevin and the whole GTech Audiovisual company. So eventually we were able to get support. Some companies gave us money. Some companies gave us their services. I got students to volunteer. Now, there's something that people have been wondering. Were the students the same? Yes, they were the same for all the 62 hours. And kudos to my students. I'm sure you'll see their photo somewhere within this episode. I really appreciate them. I appreciate Multimedia University for giving me their venue. I appreciate Dr. Njogu. And I'm telling you, getting a venue was one uphill task. I visited schools. I was even telling them, please let me do this. I can market you. And when they look at my following, I know they were wondering, how will you market us and you have not even marketed yourself enough? I mean, so eventually we went to Multimedia University and God gave us favor and they gave us their venue. Now, the lessons that I drew from planning this whole thing and doing the Guinness World Record attempt for the longest science lesson. Number one, you need to be patient. You can imagine applying for something in June, getting a rejection in September, and still pushing forward. You need to be patient with yourself. You need to be patient with the processes. Now, even after we did the Guinness World Record attempt, we took, I think, a month to upload the evidence because the evidence demands were quite high. We needed to organize that whole footage to the way the Guinness World Record had stipulated. There's a way they wanted the videos to be arranged. There's the size, there's the format, and it took us a whole month, to upload that evidence. It was quite tasking, it was quite expensive, but we made it. So patience is actually very key in everything you're doing. It's not a microwave kind of thing, achieving, such a feat. You have to be patient with the processes, with the timelines given, and with the guidelines that are stipulated for that. Now, the other thing is that you must be a person of faith. If you want to attempt something great in life, you must be a person of faith. Now, I'll be honest, I've never handled millions at a go. And here I was about to do a project that is costing me millions. And I really was wondering how this is going to work. And I'm telling you, if you do not have faith, you cannot achieve anything great. Faith is believing something that does not exist as if it is there with you. So you must have faith. You must keep pushing. And the third thing, you must fight self-doubt. So many times I would be on the road and I was like, I feel like running away from this thing, I feel like stopping this thing. I feel like postponing it, especially because I was not getting replies to my email. I opened a specific email that was for this event, and the email is going to run down there, Tata Wekesa at gmail.com. So that email, I opened it so that I can use it, to appeal for help and for funds and all that. And every time I would open this email, I would not find any reply. In fact, the replies I would find were people who thought now I'm a very great person in society and I'll get them jobs. Those are the kind of emails I was getting. And, I kept on wondering, hey, will I really get support? Is this thing going to work? And the more we got closer to the day, the more I saw the reality of it and the demands, the financial implication. Now I got a till number that I announced, you know, I asked people to support me in this, to sponsor me. And one Sunday morning, I woke up and found somebody had sent me 160 shillings. The first person who ever supported this sent me 160 bob. And I told myself, you know what? If I'm going to do this event, I'm going to do it for this one Kenyan who has seen my till number on Facebook and has decided to support me with what he has. And I kept on seeing, you know, strangers supporting you, people you don't know, like they have just seen me you know, saying what I want to do, mentioning Guinness World Record, mentioning that I'm a teacher and that I want to make impact, and they just decided to support. So you must fight the self-doubt, because let me tell you, out there are people who believe in you. And you know what? The fourth lesson, you need to learn how to handle rejection. Now, there are many people I approached that had the resources, you know, to support me. And it's not like I'm saying this because I'm feeling bad. No, I'm not really feeling bad, because there are highs and there are lows. I mean, so there are people that this whole thing did not really make sense to them. So they did not support me, and I had to learn how to handle failure, how to handle rejection, and how to handle people not believing in what I was doing. So, I mean, the lessons are priceless. Above all, the planning of this Guinness World Record attempt made me to go into offices that I never thought I would access. I mean, I found myself having contacts of media personalities that I've seen, and, you know, I've never gotten an opportunity to interact with them. And so, I mean, I feel like it was not really wasted effort. It was just amazing. Now, before I go to the effect that this had on my family, I want to talk about the actual attempt. So we get to February, we have managed to mobilize funds here and there, and I mean, the day is here. On 13th in the morning, I woke up and the day was here, the day of the attempt. Amani of Trinity, Heaven Trinity Motors.
Welcome to Heaven Trinity Motors.
Came so early. He was there by 8 a.m. And I was asking him, mnataka tu kunibeba tu mnipeleke kichinjio. You know, like they are coming to carry me to take me to the venue. Anyway, so we prepared and we left. We went and, you know, there are those preliminaries, preparing to start the event, making sure the students have their T-shirts, making sure everything is in order in the lab, etc. And then now we got to the beginning of the event. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
We are fine.
Okay, so welcome to the longest science lesson, the first worldwide. For purposes of this lesson, you can clap. Okay. Yeah, so for purposes of this lesson, you'll refer to me as Miss Tata. Miss who?
Miss Tata.
Or you can say Miss Tara, depending on, on where you are from. Okay? So what's your idea of science? Hey, now when that clock started, nikajua hapa ni kuendelea hadi mwisho. I was aiming to do 50 hours and the clock has started, and I knew this is Tuesday evening. I am supposed to go all the way to Friday morning. I knew this is not going to be funny. But again, you are in front of cameras, the whole thing is live, the whole world is watching. You've already announced. Sponsors have given you money and everyone is there. Students have volunteered. So it has started. I mean, you can't say that you don't want to continue. So I first did 6 hours non-stop. And then I took a break of 30 minutes. Let me tell you, 30 minutes are so short, because I walked from the lab to the car to the hostel, and after taking a bath and just dressing up, they told me that 30 minutes are over. Ni kurudi tena kufundisha. So I went back and taught for another 4 hours, took a 20 minutes break, and that was how it continued until the end of the event. Now, something that, some things happened that you really cannot tell the world. But anyway, we are done. Now I can share with you. So on Friday night, okay, let me not go to Friday yet. Before the attempt, we had St. John's ambulance offering the medical services, and we had to do triage just to check whether I am in the right state, in the right position, in the right health state to do the attempt. And my pressure was high. I mean, I've never had problems with pressure. So they were saying that the pressure is a bit elevated. And they told me to take an hour to just calm down, cool down, and start. That 1 hour, the pressure went higher. So my husband, Pastor Victor, came and told me, you have to start. You cannot stop because your pressure has gone high. Probably when you start teaching, the pressure will go lower. So I actually started teaching when I was a bit unwell. I was a bit worried for my health. That was on Tuesday evening. Now, on Tuesday night, my legs started aching. And I could not understand what is happening because I've never had a problem with my legs aching. So from my knees going down all the way to the feet, I was in pain. And this is just the first night. And I'm supposed to be productive up to Friday morning. So it was not really funny. I remember prior to the event, I had bought sports shoes, very comfortable shoes just to wear during the event. And here I was wearing the shoes I've just bought, and my feet, my legs are aching. So we continued, and Wednesday came. And on Wednesday, when I went for triage during the break, they said that the pressure was continuing to go higher and higher. So they had to give me some ORS, what is it called? A drink that, for giving you hydration, for giving you the ions that you need, the sugars that you need. And so that actually really helped me. I think I was getting dehydrated as I was teaching because I didn't really have time to pause and start drinking water and all that. I'm telling you, this thing was very, very demanding in terms of endurance. So we continue, and we hit 50 hours on Thursday evening. Oh my God, it's almost 50 hours.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
My team and I decided to push ourselves to 66 hours. That was the initial agreement. The initial discussion was that we push ourselves to 62 hours up to 10 a.m. And on Friday night, it was so tough because I was beyond 50 hours teaching. My body was starting to act up. I think I was at the verge of collapsing. And my security assistant, or rather the lady who was the head of security, Mercy Masharia, the CEO of Tamka Security Limited, she was there throughout as my personal security. And she could see how I was struggling. And at some point, I think I started becoming a bit incoherent towards the morning. And my body was now getting to the edge and to the end of it. But by God's grace and by His strength, we were able to go all the way to 60 hours. And then we did an examination for 1 hour. And then we did revision for the exam. And I think we did one last short lesson. And finally, we hit the stopwatch. We hit the clock. We stopped the time at 62 hours, 33 minutes and 34 seconds. And let me tell you, I felt like I had just been born. I mean, like, I could not imagine that this thing is over. Unajua vile kama una plan harusi alafu ufanye harusi, how you feel that evening. You can't believe that it is over.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, what did this attempt mean for my family? I am married to one Pastor Victor Wekesa, and he was the first person I shared with when I applied for this big event. Now, his support cannot be ignored. He was so supportive from day one. I remember from when I told him, even before I got the rejection and after I got now the acceptance, he kept on calling me the Guinness World Record holder. And to me, for me, I took it as a prophecy. I mean, you know, that kind of support, I needed somebody to keep on telling me, you can do this, you can do this. And even when we formed the committee, he eventually joined the committee as well. He helped me mobilize funds, and not even about the fund, just the funds, but even the emotional support, the moral support, knowing that the person that you're living with, the person you're doing life with is supporting you. For me, that meant a lot. So I really want to appreciate him. He was such a great support system. And family, I mean, family is very, very key when you're doing something great, when you're attempting, you know, something that is beyond you, because they hold you, they carry your burden. Now, there's this one time when we called for a dinner for people to come and support us. And the turnout was good, but it was not as I was expecting. So we didn't get enough resources. Like when we look at even what we spent for the dinner versus what we got, it's like we ended up spending more than what we got. So, well, I mean, we appreciated the people who came. They came, they supported us. But I think after that, I was left a bit discouraged, because in my mind, I thought, this dinner will really help us raise the funds. And one morning I suggested to my husband that we need to postpone this thing, because we have not gotten enough sponsors, we don't have all the resources. He looked at me and told me, we are not postponing it. We are going to do it with the resources that we have. And for me, I mean, that's what I needed, because if I was left to my devices, I would have definitely postponed this event. Kwanza, the words he used, he said, hii kitu imetukula kichwa from November. I'm sure they'll put captions for you down there. He said, hii kitu imetukula kichwa from November. Sasa unataka itukule kichwa hadi April. And I knew, wow. Sasa I'm in this thing and I cannot escape from it. So I really appreciate him. He's a man of faith. I kept on seeing how he's believing we'll get the resources, how he's believing I'll do it, and that meant everything to me. Now, I always drive with my children in the morning to school. They also schooled in the same institution I work in. And I shared with my children as well. And every morning when we are praying in the car on our way to school, we would pray about the event. So I think this led to some build-up of some anticipation, especially for my firstborn Victoria. I think she understood more what this meant than my second and third child. So as the day kept on approaching, I could see the whole thing is really worrying her, and I could see that she's wondering how is it going to work. Like, Mom, are you going to be away for all those days? Like, nilikuwa naona tu she's really getting bothered by it. So actually on the day of the attempt, I could not leave the house when the children were there. So I had to call a cab to pick the children and take them to a mall so that I'm able to exit the house in peace. So that's actually what we did. So the effect on my family, of course, there were the highs, there were the lows. Like when she came now to Multimedia University after the event, like she was just crying. She was just crying. I think she was looking at me and she was wondering, what has Mommy been going through for all these days? And you know, these are some of the sacrifices that we have to make for our children. Because I know one day, when she's attempting something great and something that is beyond her, she's going to remember one time when her mother stood in front of cameras and taught science for all those hours. And you know, she even told me the other day, she told me, Mom, I can't afford to fail science because my mother is known for teaching science for 62 hours. So if I fail science, who will I be representing? And I told myself, if I have done this for just my children to be impacted, my girls to be impacted, then I have achieved the goal as well. So I really truly appreciate my family. I appreciate Pastor Victor, my husband. I appreciate Victoria. I appreciate Vanessa, and I appreciate Valerie. Okay, Valerie doesn't really understand what was happening, but when she grows up, she will see what her mother did. So that was amazing, amazing, and I truly appreciate their support. Now, what next after this? Brenda Okwiri is an amazing heart, and guess what? I am seated in her house. She's an artist. She does very amazing paintings. You can get her contacts there, some of the work that she has done, and you can contact her for paintings for your house, for your office, and trust me, she can even custom make for you. You can just give her the idea you have and she will pop it up in your house. Yeah, so why all this effort? I mean, why mobilize funds, millions to do an event? Why are you doing this? That's the most common question people get to ask me, and they ask me, how did you think about this? Number one, I don't like being limited, you know. And then secondly, I want to make an impact in science education. Now, being a science educationist, I have met students who have even been given a certain perception by even their parents and their relatives about chemistry, about biology. And there are even videos on YouTube, somebody doing a street interview, and they just go asking people randomly, what was your worst subject? And chemistry comes up so many times. I want to change that narrative. Now, I always tell my students that chemistry is not hard. Biology is not hard. These subjects are just demanding. They're a bit more demanding. They require you to put in more effort. So just the other day, I had an online session with students, and I'm calling those sessions Science Impact, where I was able to host some students on Google Meet and to just, discuss with them how can we get good grades in science. And basically, that's just what I want to do. I got very, very good grades in science. Basically, like for KCPE, I was even in the newspaper. I was 83rd in the country. In KCSE, I got very high grades. How can we get these grades? Like, I mean, just pouring out my personal experience, both as a former student and now as a teacher, and just encouraging my students that you can actually achieve anything. I remember when I was in Form 3, I was poor in chemistry, and I want to share, I'd like to share what I did to eventually become among the best in the same subject. And now, being a chemistry educator, I mean, I believe I have the experience and the wealth of knowledge to share with students. So what next for me? Working with schools, talking to students, high school students, primary school students, doing the science impact sessions in various institutions to encourage students to love sciences. Because again, I say, science is life and life is science. Another thing I would like to do is just to have sessions with teachers, educators, within counties, within schools, just to motivate them about how they should give their best when it comes to science education, how they can actually improve their teaching methods, and just embracing this career. Teaching career, haina pesa sana, like other things like business and, law, and I don't want to mention so many, but the kind of seeds that we plant in our students is what makes the difference. So all of us, all of us watching now, we have been made by teachers other than just our parents. And even you find that most of us, we do not really celebrate educators. So even in this YouTube channel, one of the main things I'm going to do is to interview key educators those who have made me and those that exist, both the ones we know and the ones we do not know, just to celebrate them, because I have not seen teachers being celebrated the way they should be celebrated. And if we can do this and, just make sure that the love for science is spread, then that would be amazing. And lastly, one of the major and great things that I truly want to do is to build science centers. Now, the aim is to have a fund, and people who believe in this, and we can set up physical science centers in different counties. Now, a science center is going to have labs that are really equipped, and like the schools within the area where the science center is can be coming to the science center to, showcase their innovations, to come and do their research from there, to come and do their science contests from there, to come and learn science from there. And even if I can get to a capacity of visiting schools that have less equipped labs, and through the fund, equip labs so that we start exposing our students to practical sessions, as many as possible, as early as possible, then that would be amazing. It really breaks my heart when I hear that a student is sitting for KCSE and they have never seen an apparatus like a burette. I mean, I just wonder what really is happening, and that's what I want to do. I want to that we have a country that has fully equipped labs, that have fully equipped science centers, where we can receive and celebrate innovations. Our country has a wealth of human. The children we are raising are so brilliant. And even now, involving AI and involving technology, I mean, if we can have a space where we can receive and allow these students to showcase their gifts and their talents when it comes to science, that would be amazing. So that is my next course of action. You will be seeing me more often on this space. You'll be seeing me interviewing so many amazing people. And I want to give you a leakage. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to be sitting with my primary school science teacher. You need to stay tuned, you need to subscribe, and you need to share. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know I may not have given all the details, but I'm happy that I've been able to relive the moment. I've been able to relive the event that we had. And as ratification comes, as we get our record, I'm really waiting to come back here and give you the amazing news so that we can celebrate, and above all, so that we can do more impact when it comes to science education. Asanteni sana. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next episode. Thank you.